are comfortable with really diving deep and taking that, microscope to their business, to their behavior, to their routines, and saying, what can I freaking ditch and what do I really need to improve on? Like, where do I need to tighten up? Okay. And so through that program, I was really able to hone and fine tune and adapt many of his systems, and sort of release some of my systems just because his were better. And it allowed me to also pick up a few new tools and a change of perspective around the way that I look at time, right? And so sort of coming back to the themes, right? One of the things that he talks about that I wasn't aware of thinking about was sort of theming your weekdays. So that no matter how you get knocked off of your game, that if Monday is marketing, no matter how someone may have pulled your attention for an hour, whatever, you come back, okay, what the hell am I doing? Oh, marketing. Okay. Let me do something marketing related. It's Monday, and, so for me, he also wants he talks about theming your quarters, theming your days of the week, and then looking at those days of the week and really arranging your projects and tasks that you have going on in your micro goals, or what he refers to as 2-week sprints, putting those in those 2-week sprints, and that really helping you to avoid, as you asked, okay, do you focus on urgent things? That's what he might refer to as or any business person as like putting out a fire. So we don't want to have to put out a lot of fires, although they're going to crop up, right? We want to mostly be focused on tending the garden. So when you're focused on the important and relevant tasks, then you're tending the garden. And the issue is that fires are going to crop up. You're going to have to take care of them. And the mind, if not tasked with structure, can get sucked into Facebook or Instagram or whatever. If you don't have a really clear idea of when I log on to Facebook, I am spending 20 minutes going to my closed Facebook group and answering questions, and that's it. Adding people, and then I'm getting off. When I get on my email, I'm simply searching for new subscribers, adding them to my mailing list, and getting off. Now, let me open my email, see what's happening, delete a bunch of these new coupon offers, oh, mom wants to know when I'm coming for Easter. I don't know. Let me look up flights. You have to sort of, and I say this in a terms of like the universal you, like I have to be this for myself. You have to be accountable. And sometimes what I'll say a tip is if you actually get to planning your week in advance, right? You look at the times each day that you have available and you create sort of a mini schedule. So I have a whiteboard and a planner. And I believe in sort of all the technological gadgets and all the notifications. That's all cool. But when you drop your phone in the toilet or your phone gets broken or someone steps on it, then what? Right? So I believe in backing all that up analog. So I'm a visual person. Again, it's important to know how you learn, how you're best reminded. I'm a visual person, and a kinesthetic person. So writing it helps it like sink into my form, my humanity, and having it on my whiteboard helps me to be constantly reminded of it when I'm just in the environment. So if on a Sunday, so for me tomorrow, I'll look at next week. I'll look at what I have going on, sort of my pre-set appointments. I'll look at the gaps of time each day. And then I'll look at my 2-week, what's left of my 2-week tasks and projects around my business. And I will assign those projects and tasks to specific days. And we'll try to estimate how much time it will take me to accomplish those tasks, so that I can actually have a game plan and say, okay, well, I have to send another 5 podcast pitches out. That might take me an hour or, 25 and whatever the amount of time is, so that I can be more realistic and not try to be like, okay, well, on Monday, I'm going to do 6 of these 7 things. No, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And the goal is to set yourself up so you feel like you're building, and you actually are building momentum, rather than feeling like you constantly have this unending to-do list that you can never make a dent in.
I really like that idea, because you're right. Sometimes, actually for me too, it feels like I'm just having like a to-do list that's just like never ending of like, well, I'll just add more things onto this because it all has to get done. So in your own time and focus, are there routines that you have then developed that you stick to, or rituals that set up your day and your week and your quarters for success? I know you mentioned a little bit about them, but I'm just curious on like your day-to-days. Is there like a blocks of time you're like, you know what, this is my personal time no matter what happens, and then this time is set aside for my business development?
Yeah, and you know what? I'll be on. I always tell audiences that I speak to, I'm a human, right? And so just like I tell you that you should always be thinking about different ways that you can improve and tighten up, you know, one of the ways that I, for example, am working on tightening up is having that non-negotiable block of time where I am focused on my sort of personal grounding for the day. I am so business focused at this period of my life, and because I also work in yoga and all of that, that is so much part of my business that I need to be better about saying, you know, this 1 hour every day, even if I have to wake up at 7, is when I meditate and do like my 6 sun salutations just for Awilda. But aside from that, I swear by the calendar. I swear by planning your week on Sunday. And listen, you have to be a little flexible, especially early in your business. I would be mistaken if I told someone just starting out, okay, well, you need to be rigid about your time. And, you know, if someone wants to meet with you on 5 o'clock on a Wednesday and that's your meditation time, just say no. Because at first you need to be available to build relationships so you can have a reputation that people start to come and agree to do things on your time, right? So, you know, you got to be somewhat flexible. But what I will say is you have to block your time. So if you block your time, you're less likely to run into that period where you're like, oh, dang, I didn't work out this week. Or I didn't send any follow-up emails this week. Or I didn't do any social media on Hootsuite this week. Because you've had those blocks of time, and maybe you got to switch Monday and Wednesday because you got an appointment, and yippee for you because that's awesome. You're getting paid. But you got to put that time somewhere else, right? So you have to have a way to quickly look at your schedule, know what's happening, and be able to secure those blocks so that they don't just simply get taken and knocked off to the side. That's something that I think is really important. Also, having, you know, a theme, not just a theme, but a goal, right? A goal for a shorter period of time is important. So incremental goals. So let's say, I don't know, you are a photographer and you have a few portfolios, you have a website, but you're looking to secure an agent and to put up a show and sell, I don't know, $10,000 worth of your prints by, you know, the end of the year. Okay. You can't, let me rephrase that. You can certainly just set out after that and just, you know, throw a bunch of darts at the board and see what hits. But what, if you were my client, right, what we would work on is identifying the micro phases and the best way to prioritize those things so that your success would be more guaranteed, so that you would inevitably and actually do the things that are going to make you get a new agent, make sure your show goes up, and that you're connecting with the actual patrons that can afford to bring you 10,000, as well as whatever your next installation is going to be. That's what is really the focus of my job as a success coach, but what is really important for anyone and what I practice myself. I always tell people, you know, I'm not just, it's like hair club for men. I'm not just the president, I'm also a member.
Of course. I'm curious, in your own journey and then how you teach clients, what is your approach to fear and overcoming it?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, fear is natural. Fear, when we start to get out of our comfort zone, it's like, ugh, like it's a part of life. Okay, I'll just say that. As a coach, I'm very ethically committed to staying on the side of coaching and not entering into any sort of therapy realm. But as a certified emotional intelligence coach, I do have some of the tools to broach the topic ethically without sort of getting into a therapy thing. And what I mean by that is, in therapy, a lot of the focus is, going to the past, reliving that, deconstructing it, really getting into those emotions and providing a turnaround to it, or thinking about ways that we could approach it differently next time, whatever. As a coach, my job is to identify, okay, where is this fear creating an obstacle to future progress, right? What are the tools we currently have that can help us to change our perspective around it and or address it head on, in terms of, okay, if it's, I don't have the skills, okay, well, what skills do you need? Are those skills that we can develop internally, or do you have to go externally to get them? Which is very different than a therapist saying, well, how did you feel about that? What did you think about? Okay, like, all right. Or, well, let's think about, it's very different. So in terms of fear, it's identifying how it's showing up as an obstacle to your progress, how it is that we can strategically plan around it, over it, become like water, right? Water, it sees a barrier and it goes over it, it goes through it, it goes under it, it goes around it. It's not a barrier, it's water. It's like, okay, thing, you're here, nice, bye. And that's really sort of the attitude I try to cultivate with my clients around it. It's like, okay, fear is natural. It's like a baby. When a baby falls, if you're like, oh my God, oh no, are you okay? The baby starts crying. If you're like, okay, cool. You pick them up, you dust them off, you clap, yay, you're fine, and everything keeps moving. Not to compare my clients to babies. They're wonderful. But in terms of my mentality, they feed off of that energy. So if I start freaking out, they're not going to feel very taken care of. They're not going to feel like I know what the heck I'm doing. If I'm like, oh no, what are you going to do, Tom? And then in my own personal life, again, just curtain up, yes, I've experienced fear, self-doubt, all of those things. But I think the most important thing, like I said, and like I tell my clients, is acknowledging that, yeah, that's going to happen. Okay. Well, let's take a second. Let's acknowledge it. Because if we don't, then it's going to get bigger than what it is. It's going to start to take up more mental real estate, and that's going to make you ineffective and not productive. So let's acknowledge it. Let's see where it's coming from. Let's strategize about it, and let's freaking enact our plan and stick to our plan. And before you know it, it kind of just fades away, because you're doing the very thing that you were afraid of, and or getting the results that you were afraid of getting, because you didn't know what to do. But you took the time to figure it out and go after it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I really like your systematic approach to it. That I think that really helps demystify the fear as just being this like made up thing. What would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received is to, and it's going to sound very cliche, but do what you love and love what you do. Because honestly, I'm a person, and I don't know about you guys out there, but I feel like I'm an Aquarius, and Aquarius are very creative people. If I don't feel useful, like I'm being creative, like I am actually making a difference, and also for you millennials out there, you get a real bad rap for being ADD, but it's simply that you care and you're passionate about a lot of different things, right? If I don't feel like I'm able to be passionate and do those things, then I feel like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this?